Hopefully I got everything set up. I went to my settings and changed it to where it's dark and the print is white. So hopefully it'll help. But see, my eyes are still real blurry from today's events. It's just after midnight. So it's February 6th. It's like, wow. Time just keeps on moving. We're in this transient little place, you know. Maybe we're just kind of floating on the water. You know what I'm saying? Just kind of, I don't know what I'm trying to say, really. This is Lou. I've been reading about Joseph Smith's experience. The very first parts of it. Because there's big old bangs. You know, if you guys wanted to, just say if you wanted to, if you had the ability to, what is it called? The Work and the Glory. The Work and the Glory. I'm not sure how many volumes. It might have 9 books. I don't know. I was stupid. I should have kept those things, but I think my brother might have took them. Mom and Dad had them in print, and I was never much of a reader because you guys have seen me read. But listening to them, thanks to Teresa D, she got us into that. I'm pretty sure it was her. She does a lot of audio books. And this is way back when. But we started out with cassette tapes. And we would use them when we were driving long distances in the motorhome. That's when I listened to The Work and the Glory, but also, actually, The Work and the Glory I did a lot at home. The Kingdom and the Crown. That's an excellent, excellent series. It's only 3 books. I can't remember their sequence. And I don't know that I could read them. But I'm sure you could probably get them from Audible. Is that how you say it? Audible. Anyway, what is it called? Because I think the last one is called Behold the Man. Fishers of Men is one of them. There's 3 of them, and I just can't remember them right now. That was such a good series, though. Gerald 1 is excellent. And it just puts you right there. I mean, especially because we're listening to it, okay? And it's just really wonderful. And I believe, I might speak out of turn, maybe I shouldn't say that, but I think Gerald Lund is an apostle. If he's not an apostle, he's one of the 70. Surely he's still alive. He's done some marvelous things, I believe. Okay, maybe I'm still going to speak out of turn because I was thinking that as Bruce R. McConkie, there was a few of them that worked together in cross-referencing the scriptures. So we can go into the Old Testament and the New Testament and the Book of Mormon, another testament of Jesus Christ. Okay? We can pull from all of those and get more meaning. It's like putting puzzle pieces together. It's kind of strange, huh? Anyway, it is quite interesting. And like I said, some of you guys, if you've been studying the scriptures all this time, you could just fall right into some knowledge. In other words, instead of someone starting where they've not got any, they've got nothing biblical in their I don't know how to say that word either, anyway, like a portfolio or a little group of things that you know, okay? Repertoire was what I was going to say, but see, I know I'm not saying it right. Anyway, I wanted to get on here and keep reading, and I was getting carried away because to get a great feel, I was talking about the work and the glory. I know you can get it on CD, but you can probably just get it at Audible or some type of deal. You can buy them, but I'm sure you can get it electronically. You know what I'm saying? They're keeping up with the times. Anyway, I guess this song is playing in my head, and I do not know why, because it's not a song that I would have in my portfolio of things that I really like. Take it to the levee one more time. Do 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 do. Take it to the limit. Take it to the limit one more time. And something about a Chevy and the levee. See, I don't know what the words are, and I don't know why I'm singing that song. It probably has some type of a meaning that I will catch on to later. But anyway, I've already read, and I had a headache, I'm pretty sure, when I stopped reading. I've had a strange day. Not what you would call the super bestest of days, but it was okay. You know what I'm saying? You can't have everything perfect all the time, can you? So I don't know what I don't know what I said on that last video, because I might have given you an update already. But I had an eye appointment today with a specialist, okay? And so on my right eye, there's a big old scar tissue thing that she can shave off, I guess. It's a laser surgery, but that will be put out. That's on my right eye. She said I should be able to see a lot better out of that eye when she does that. And then this eye, we're concerned about glaucoma. And she's got to pull together facts. In other words, she had me get a hold of the people who did my eye care after my surgery. And it was pretty wonderful because he ended up being my stake president. So I've told you guys in the past about this organization. And in a geographical area, or a big one, sometimes not as big, but a stake center, okay? That is a bigger building, so that when we want to get together as a stake, we all meet there. But otherwise, we have wards. We have smaller buildings, and then wards meet in those buildings. A ward is a group of people, geographical, inside that stake. So I've got a big old circle, right? And maybe I have 13 wards. Okay, so make 13 little circles inside that. I'm just saying circles. You can do squares, rectangles, whatever. But what it is a geographical area of members of the church, okay? And a ward usually is 500 to 1,000 people, members. And when it gets to 1,000 members, it splits and it goes back down to 500 each. And then when it grows and it gets up to 1,000, those break off and become other wards. And they get different numbers as they do that. So inside each stake, there's a stake center, a bigger building, and then there's smaller buildings. And inside those smaller buildings, you can have it seems like up to four wards meeting in the same building on Sunday. They have it, I think one starts at 9 o'clock in the morning, and they have their sacrament meeting, And then when they release from their sacrament meeting, the next ward is coming in and goes into the building and has it for an hour. I think it's an hour and 10 minutes. I'm not sure. But it's a fluid type thing. And so we used to have meetings that were 3. There was a 3-hour deal. But now they have 2-hour deal. So you can have more wards meet in the same building, and they condense the meetings, and it's alternating. Okay, like alternating Sundays, they will meet as a group, and then on the other Sunday, the priesthood will meet and the Relief Society will meet at the same time. So that's the men and the women. Okay, now that's the women and the men, the adults. In the meantime, there's classes for all these age groups, the children. So we all meet together for sacrament meeting, which is where they pass out the sacrament, but they also have prayer and singing, and then they have a sacrament song to help get you. You really should meditate or something, think about the Lord. So they play music that has to do with his atonement, the songs. And I don't have one, for instance, at the moment. I was just giving you a little cap in case you don't know what happens at church. That first meeting, sacrament meeting, we go in and we sit down, and we will have, there's a bishop and 2 counselors. There's, I don't really know everything they're doing these days. Like I said, they kind of condensed everything. But I believe prayer, song, and actually before the prayer and song, someone is conducting the meeting. They'll get up and open up the meeting, basically, and then they'll say who's going to do the prayer and what the song is, and then we do that. But I think he also says, it's up there on a board, the song numbers, so it's like the sacrament song. You can go to it ahead of time if you want to go over the words or whatever. I love some of those songs, and I've been gone away, but still I find me singing them because they fit some things, or it makes me, that which I've been talking about, the golden plates, okay? That's a primary song, children's song from when I was a child. And I've sang it on here before, maybe a couple of times. But I don't think they sing that anymore. So anyway, it talks about these golden plates. So it's pretty cool. I don't know that I can sing right now. My voice is really quite dry, my mouth. I got a train playing in my ear over here. And I'm really quite dry. Okay, so recap. First, I read about Moroni because I was reading out of the Book of Mormon, and I was thinking that was a Joseph Smith story, but it was part of his story, but it was the story that belonged to the Book of Mormon. These golden plates that were translated by this young man who didn't have really a real technical education. And he did stay at home to work on the farm with his dad and clearing land and doing whatever they had to do. And then plus they would work on other people's farms to try to make some money. So, just saying, that's just another little tidbit of a fact about Joseph Smith. First vision, 1820. And I've just told about it. I've just read about it. And now we've passed it. We're talking about the fact that all these people have persecuted him. These people that are preachers, you know, they've got their flock. They're trying to get, come here and come here and come here. And he was being torn. And then how dare he say what God said? Because God said not to join any of the churches. Okay, so that's definitely going to put up some hair. Think about a cat that's, you know, and his hair standing up. Anyway, that was just a thought. So he went out to pray after reading in James. This is in the New Testament. I'm not sure which epistle of James, if there's only one. It's a letter, basically. But it said in there that if any of ye lack wisdom, let him ask of God, who giveth to all men liberally and upbraideth not. I need to look at that word. But I think where's my other phone? I don't know if I can spell it. So I've used it a couple of times because it's in this. This is the reason Joseph went out and prayed. He was so confused and didn't know what to do. And his family was, you know, just, it was a big revival going on. Okay, so I've got this thing and it's glaring in my eyeballs. I was going to ask, but I think I might have to spell it. Probably not going to be right there. Okay. Upbraided. No. It's like upbraideth not. Upbraideth not. Not if not. Yeah, I need to spell it, and I'm not sure how you do that. Upbraid. Upbraideth. Right there. Upbraideth meaning is an archaic English verb meaning to scold, reproach, or criticize someone severely. It is the third person singular present tense of upbraid, often found in the King James Bible, James 1, verse 5, and upbraideth not, meaning God does not find fault, rebuke, or treat with contempt when asked for wisdom. Got that? So he's not going to give you any scolding for asking him for some wisdom. Maybe I need to read that again. So it's James 1:5. Sorry about that. That's this thing. Anyway, is an archaic English verb meaning to scold, reproach, or criticize someone severely. It is the third person singular present tense of upbraid, often found in the King James Bible, James 1:5, and upbraideth not, meaning God does not find fault, he does not rebuke or treat with contempt when asked for wisdom. Okay, pretty cool. Okay. This, when Joseph Smith was reading that scripture, he was reading in the scriptures, and when he read that, he said it just, I don't know if he used the word pierce, but anyway, it made quite the impression on him. And so he decided to go out and pray. He designated an area, and he went out there while he was alone, and it was in a grove of trees. And it's quite the tale. I already told about it, so I shouldn't tell it again. In other words, if you go over my videos for the last 3 days, you'll hear some stuff. It's pretty cool, really. And yes, I do believe it. It was promised, people. It was promised that the truth would be restored to the earth before the second coming. And the second coming is on its way. We got just a little bit of time, but I don't know how much. Just saying. I mean, we've been saying for years, probably. I mean, we know this is the last days. But when I was up there on that mountain on 500 acres, and I was really doing a lot of studying, reading the scriptures, it was the craziest thing. I had this insatiable urge. I needed to learn. And I didn't have anything there except for my scriptures. And so therefore, I did a lot of studying. It was a good kind of being compelled. You know, you shouldn't be compelled in all things, but I was compelled. Excuse me. I know that I probably read a whole lot in the New Testament because I prefer that book. But in the Book of Mormon, there is also a book, because there's like 15 parts of the Book of Mormon. Records from different people, different peoples, because it goes, I don't know, I've got to do a bunch more reading. I read, see, inside, there should be like 15 different books, and the books might not be very long. Like, Omni might just be one chapter. I'm not sure. I'm pretty close. Because he just did it because he had to. And they handed it down father to son, and sometimes the son wasn't really into it, you know, and then sometimes, who knows, because the guy who abridged all these records, his name is, we could say was, but it is because he's alive, just not here on earth. His name is Mormon. And he was an historian, but he was also, I mean, I've told his story a little bit on here. But in the end, they were, both him and his son were captains of armies. They were warriors. They were in battle. And Mormon's book, inside that book, he's got a book with 9 chapters. And he's telling about the annihilation of his people. He gave the records to Moroni. He knew he was going to probably be killed here pretty soon. Because they were, I mean, battle, really bad. And we're talking back when it's swords and clubs and whatever they did, but, you know, they were also on foot, so they had to carry that stuff. I think of the, those rings, the power, Lord of the Rings, is that what it's called? And then think of those warriors. That really happened here. It happened in this country, in this land. 421 AD is when those records were hid up and saved until Joseph Smith, until that same person who hid them up, Moroni. when he came to see Joseph, it says that he was a resurrected. Sounded to me, it seems like in my mind I'm hearing glorified resurrected being that came to instruct Joseph Smith as to where these places were, what they were. So I read about that in the last couple of days. I'm just not sure where. And then see, I get confused even from where I was because I was talking about Mormon and then Moroni. See, there's just a lot of that story. There's a lot to that story, and I've already told it. But you probably, it's like reading things over again. Sometimes it's a really good idea. You get more the second time and more the third time. You just let it sink in, but Mormon at 10 years old, I've already told it, excuse me, but maybe you might never see it, okay? Think about way back when, okay? This is back around Christ's time. I'm not sure exactly, because the records come from Adam and Eve down. But the ones who took them from Jerusalem and carried them across the wilderness and brought them over here, that guy was Nephi, was the first writer. Actually, anyway, Nephi was the first writer in this book called the Book of Mormon. Okay, so now we're talking about the Book of Nephi. I don't know if it says first Nephi, because there's a first Nephi, second Nephi, third Nephi, and fourth Nephi. There's, I think, only one Alma. Anyway, there's a lot of different experiences written about, and Mormon was an historian, and he brought the most important things out of records and put it in this book. There's words of Isaiah in there. I'm not sure exactly where they are. Maybe it's in 2nd Nephi. But what I started to say, I really love the New Testament because Jesus Christ was walking upon the face of the earth. And then these people over here knew about him. They knew he was coming, and there were signs given. So in 3rd Nephi, that whole record is about Jesus Christ's visit here with these people. Okay? He was over in Jerusalem doing his ministry, and he came with the purpose of dying for our sins. He suffered for our sins. And then he resurrected himself the 3rd day. And he did that as an atonement so that we could come up from the fall. There's a plan. It might sound a little weird, but there's a plan. And I used to think, until recently, because I just found out, but recently, we were taught when we were younger, and maybe it was, I don't know why we were taught that, but more knowledge has come to light. And that is what? That in the pre-existence, Lucifer and Jesus Christ put out a plan. Two of them different, but it was their plan. Well, that's what we were taught. But no, just found out, really brought it to light, that there was only one plan, and it was God's plan. And what he said was, who can I send? In other words, there had to be a savior. There had to be a sacrifice. Because Adam and Eve was going to fall. It was in the program. They received commandment to multiply and replenish the earth with people, okay? And God really didn't abandon Adam. It's just that things were different when they were kicked out of the garden. And they were purposely kept away from the tree of life, which is eternal life. They transgressed, they fell, they had to leave because that was the rule. They had to leave the garden. And there's different scenarios that go with that, you know. It's like the serpent beguiled Eve and was saying, you know, that, and it is true. It was said, I'm sure. I just don't want to go search for it. That when you take that fruit off that tree, the knowledge of good and evil, not the tree of life, okay? But they were in a close proximity of each other, and I believe in the middle of the garden, but I'm not positive. So I did look that stuff up not that long ago. So what is my point? They could not partake of that tree of life because they would have lived forever. But I think it was said that they would live forever in their sins, and you don't want that. There's a plan. We have to learn. There's going to be temptation. There's going to be opposition in all things. There's going to be all this stuff. We're constantly having to make choices. Well, those choices are important. Important. Anyway, I've wasted a whole lot of my life. Seems like I keep doing that every time I turn around. Sometimes those lessons are a real long time coming. Anyway, I sure hope that I'll be able to take care of my eyes. It's something to do with drainage. It's something to do with the liquid being able to drain out or something like that. And that if it doesn't drain out, then it is pooling in there and it's causing pressure on the optic nerve. I'm saying that wrong. I know I am. Anyway, so I've done my part, kind of, sort of, because, you know, I'm sure I could do better. My head hurts, and I'm sure that has to do with my blood pressure. I have not been taking my pills correctly because ever since I saw the eye doctor, one I saw at Walmart, but he was a good doctor, and he set me up with this woman who's a really good doctor, and she does surgeries, and she teaches. So I feel blessed that I went over there that day, and then I set up an appointment for later that afternoon. And we talked for a really long time. In fact, I probably should get a hold of him. He knows a woman who's really quite old, who was a nun for 40 years, who put a business together, tutoring children, and maybe tutoring people, you know, teaching them how to read and write. And she decided, she went into business. She bought a building. They tutored. The nuns would be helping teach. And then there was money coming in, and then that would go to the nuns. My hands are moving all over the place. But I don't know the whole situation, but whatever money they made went back into the nunnery or doing good deeds. I don't know, but it was wonderful. And she was a nun for 40 years. I know I said that. And then she was writing poetry. So she's got a book. He said it like this. She's got a book that tall of papers, poetry that she's written over the years. And I'm going, what is she going to do with that? Because see, she's getting really old. And unless she does something with that, it's going to be lost. Unless somebody else actually does something with it. I mean, I don't know what thoughts she's got, but I treasure my 20 papers. And actually, maybe I'll just say 10, a round figure, because some were not all that special. But they were of a real thing. I wrote about something that happened. And then like one time my girlfriend, she was going through something really bad and she called me in the middle of the night. So I wrote about that. Love is as love does, but I don't think I actually gave it a title. That might be what it's called. Anyway, I wrote a few papers that I really thought were special. And so that's why I started my channel. I wanted to get them out there. I wanted to share. But I started writing these. I mean, I wrote one called Turn On Your Light So You're Not in the Dark. I wrote that at least 44 years ago. My daughter just turned 49. And she was 5 years old. She was in kindergarten. So that was 44 years ago when I wrote that. It's really quite cool. And I read it on here. I read it, and then I probably talked about it, and then I got carried away with some ranting and raving. Things, things that need to change. So you'll hear me do that every once in a while. I keep burping, I'm sorry. So anyway, I just went on there so I could take most of the glare away. But just remembering that my eyes are not where they need to be. And then I heard her say I had 20/20 vision. To see, that's with my glasses. But that's pretty cool. I do have a headache, though. I need to dig out my car so I can get out and go to the store. Hello? Is there anybody in there? Do, 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 do. We know it's Pink Floyd. I just don't know the words. And they're trying to sing to me. Okay. I got the itchies. I'm sorry. Okay, so you guys will have to back up and go listen to the other ones if you have not. Because I'm going to start at verse 32. So if you have that app, or if you have the book per se, this is in the Pearl of Great Price, and it's Joseph Smith History. And it says 1, but see, I believe there's really only just 1. There's not another chapter. Unless you're going to count the 13 Articles of Faith as the next chapter, maybe. Let me move that over. Yes. But see, it says the Articles of Faith, and then it says chapter 1. So there's only one of those. Okay. A fleeting glimpse. Something about on the horizon. And I feel a little sick. Anyway, it'll come to me sooner or later. So, I forget. I know I was giving you a recap of what I am going to read and what I have read. Okay, he's talking about Moroni. So I read through 31, and he's talking about this being that's come and is at the side of his bed. So I'll go ahead and read. Well, no, I won't. I'm going to go to 32. It just tells that this guy, He appears in his room. He's standing in the air, and his appearance is glorious. And the robe that he's wearing is white, way white. He had on a loose robe of most exquisite whiteness. It was a whiteness beyond anything earthly I had ever seen, nor do I believe that any earthly thing could be made to appear so exceedingly white and brilliant. I'll go ahead and read that. His hands were naked, and his arms also, a little above the wrist. So also were his feet naked, as were his legs, a little above the ankles. His head and neck were also bare. I could discover that he had no other clothing on but this robe, as it was open so that I could see into his bosom. And I showed you guys the picture. It's just showing a V-neck like I've got here. So you can see all this, and then he could see into his bosom right there. And then this was up, so he could see his wrist, and then the same thing with his ankles, his feet and his ankles. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead now with 32. Not only was his robe exceedingly white, but his whole person was glorious beyond description, and his countenance truly like lightning. The room was exceedingly light, but not so very bright as immediately around his person. When I first looked upon him, I was afraid, but the fear soon left me. Okay, this is 33. He called me by name and said unto me that he was a messenger sent from the presence of God to me, and that his name was Moroni, that God had a work for me to do. Okay, I kind of paused there, I'm sorry. That God had a work for me to do, and that my name should be had for good and evil among all nations, kindreds, and tongues, or that it should be both good and evil spoken of among all people. See, I paused in there, not good. Or that it should be both good and evil spoken of among all people. He said there was a book deposited, written upon gold plates, giving an account of the former inhabitants of this continent, and the source from whence they sprang. He also said that the fullness of the everlasting gospel was contained in it, as delivered by the Savior to the ancient inhabitants. That was in 3rd Nephi. I was telling you guys to go read 3rd Nephi. Or that is one of my favorite books because it is Jesus Christ. It's like a second witness, okay? There's signs given here of his birth, and there's signs given here of his death. And that star was in the sky too. That was another sign. But they knew he was coming, and then they knew also that he was going to come and visit the people here in the land bountiful after he was done in Jerusalem, after he had died on the cross and later was resurrected 3 days later. So, and did you know that he stayed around for 40 days? So I'm not sure. He might have just waited until after that 40 days before he went over here. But it's still I'm sure I told you. It's planned, Stan. Okay. I think I just read that. Yes, I did. Okay. He said there was a book deposited, written upon gold plates, giving an account of the former inhabitants of this continent and the source from whence they sprang. He also said that the fullness of the everlasting gospel was contained in it, as delivered by the Savior to the ancient inhabitants. I just read that to you guys, didn't I? So also that there were 2 stones in silver bows, and these stones fastened to a breastplate constituted what is called the Urim and Thummim, deposited with the plates, and the possession and use of these stones were what constituted seers in ancient and former times, and that God had prepared them for the purpose of translating the book. I hope you guys have been following me a little bit, because then you'll know I've been talking about the Urim and Thummim. Anyway, this is verse 36. After telling me these things, he commenced quoting the prophecies of the Old Testament. He first quoted part of the 3rd chapter of Malachi, and he quoted also the 4th or last chapter of the same prophecy, though with a little variation from the way it reads in our Bibles. Instead of quoting the first verse as it reads in our books, he quoted it thus. Now, this is verse 37. For behold, the day cometh that shall burn as an oven, and all the proud, yea, and all that do wickedly shall burn as stubble. For they that come shall burn them, saith the Lord of hosts, that it shall leave them neither root nor branch. And again he quoted the 5th verse thus, Behold, I will reveal unto you the priesthood by the hand of Elijah the prophet, before the coming of the great and dreadful day of the Lord. He also quoted the next verse differently, and he shall plant in the heart of the children the promises made to the fathers, and the hearts of the children shall turn to their fathers. If it were not so, the whole earth would be utterly wasted at his coming. Do I need to read that again? I bet I do. See, these different verses that we're reading right here are different than in the King James Version. Okay, so in the last days, I think part of it they're saying that is referring to genealogy too, but because we're trying to link families together, and genealogy work is all about that. Pedigree charts and keeping families together, assemblies and stuff, and following the bloodline. And it's a trip. My mother was into it. I could not grasp a hold to it. And I don't know what happened to her work. She had totes and totes and totes of genealogy work out there in the garage. I hope somebody was able to do something with it, but I just don't think so. But you never know, because that sure would be a shame, because that was a lot of work. Mother really was something. Mother and father, they took trips. They spent time in graveyards. They looked up death certificates, birth certificates, wedding certificates, which I've got to find mine so that I can, I don't know, if I need to fly, I'm not able until I take care of that. So I don't really like flying, but I could now if I wanted to, unless someone came and swept me away. Okay. I know I'm over here rocking and rolling all night long. Okay, verse 38 is where I'm fixing to be, I believe. If not, I'll be reading it a second time because that's where I've got it at. I do like that I can see this better and it's not got such a glare. Okay, so verse 38. And again he quoted the 5th verse thus, Behold, I will reveal unto you the priesthood, comma, by the hand of Elijah the prophet, before the coming of the great and dreadful day of the Lord. He also quoted the next verse differently, and he shall plant in the hearts of the children the promises made to the fathers, and the hearts of the children shall turn to their fathers. If it were not so, the whole earth would be utterly wasted at his coming. In addition to these, he quoted the 11th chapter of Isaiah, saying that it was saying that it was about to be fulfilled. He quoted also the 3rd chapter of Acts, 22nd and 23rd verses, precisely as they stand in our New Testament. He said that I'm not saying it right. He said that prophet was Christ. But the day had not yet come when they who would not hear his voice should be cut off from among the people, but soon would come. And he also quoted the 2nd chapter of Joel. From the 28th verse to the last, he also said that this was not yet fulfilled, but was soon to be. And he further stated that the fullness of the Gentiles was soon to come in. He quoted many other passages of Scripture and offered many explanations which cannot be mentioned here. Verse 42, again he told me that when I got those plates of which he had spoken, for the time that they would be obtained was not yet fulfilled, I should not show them to any person, neither the breastplate with the Urim and Thummim, only to those to whom I should be commanded to show them. If I did, I should be destroyed. While he was conversing with me about the plates, the vision was open to my mind that I could see the plates where the box, okay, I'm putting words there. I could see the place where the plates were deposited, and that so clearly and distinctly that I knew the place again when I visited it. After the communication, I saw the light in the room begin to gather immediately around the person of him who had been speaking to me, and it continued to do so until the room was again left dark, except just around him, when instantly I saw, as it were, a conduit open right up into heaven, and he ascended till he entirely disappeared, and the room was left as it had been before. No, I'm not reading well. And the room was left as it had been before this heavenly light had made its appearance. So verse 44, I lay musing on the singularity of the scene and marveling greatly at what had been told to me by this extraordinary messenger, when, in the midst of my meditation, I suddenly discovered that my room was again beginning to get lighted, and in an instant, as it were, the same heavenly messenger was again by my bedside. Okay, I got a headache. I got to stop. I'm going to move it up to 45. I'll stop for a minute. We'll see what I can do here. I feel like I need to... my head's hurting, and it's probably bad blood pressure medicine that I didn't take. It's a combination of things. I got real excited. I shouldn't have done that. Hopefully my heart's okay. I tend to get carried away sometimes. I'm not used to having to worry about what I say. I mean, you should worry somewhat. But it's just sometimes people just don't understand. And it's like, I don't want to curtail, but you have to. So, between everything, my head wants to hurt. And also caffeine and me don't get along. And I took one of those energy drinks. I've had one of those. See, it doesn't have sugar in it, but boy, oh boy, I believe it's still sweet. So, I don't know. I gave my card away today. So I'm excited about that. And it was at that office, the eye doctor's office. And I told her, I says, share it. Spread that card around. That's my channel. Which is what I'd like for everybody to do. If they find something of mine, of worth, which I know it is, there are people who need it. Maybe you could turn them on to me. like one of my papers that would have been the first one in my book, is thoughts flying in the wind. So if you write that down in your little search bar, thoughts flying in the wind, hoping to see. I don't know if that's part of that. Thoughts flying in the wind. Just put on lose touch. LOU' space TOUCH. I'm just having these little flashbacks of a town called Downs. So I'm getting way off my path. It's a nice little town. It could be anyway. There's a bunch of churches around there, I think. And they all go together and they have a secondhand store downtown. Downtown consists of one road. The town is less than 1,000 people. It's 12 miles from Osborne. Osborne is where the courthouse is. Anyway, so it's 12 miles to Osborne. It's 24 miles to Beloit. Beloit. And I needed to look up Cawker City. Cawker City is just, it's a little place on the road. But I think there is a lake there. Anyway. Oh, happy day. Okay, so tomorrow is Friday. Or today is Friday. I can see what my friend meant, but I need to watch that. In other words, I have this double-edged sword. I want to communicate with people about the Book of Mormon, which means I have to talk to people. But I can't be, I'm just of the opinion, really, I don't know what I'm thinking, that you really can't be real good friends with the opposite sex without, to myself, it just feels like you shouldn't be doing that. You need to concentrate on the one you love. You need to be working on making that a happy deal, not out there talking to a bunch of people. Now, so with me, I'm strange, but I do like to let people know that their life is worthwhile, that there is a purpose to their life. And I haven't been with the church a lot of different times. I grew up in the church, and then I got married at 17, and I quit going to church, and then I went through a divorce, and I started going to church, and then I, blah, blah, blah. When I was young, I took seminary, 4 years. I graduated straight A's, 4 years. Learned a lot. And I had my teachers tell me they learned a lot too. I had questions I wanted answered, I wanted help finding out things. So I was always inquisitive. So I learned a lot when I went through seminary. And they do that today. The children, the youth, their high school years, they go to seminary. course, it takes some, sometimes you can't go because, like these days, not even just these days. I mean, Dad did do quite a bit to get us there. And see, in some places, you have to get up and go really early before school. Now, in Utah, where I was going to high school, there was a building across the street. That was the seminary building, and you were able to choose it as one of your electives. So I took seminary while I was in Sandy as my high school experience. So I got to go in the middle of the day. Or, you know, I didn't have to get up. I got sent to New York because I got caught, and I just couldn't leave my boyfriend alone. So they sent me away. So yeah, I know about that stuff, the raging hormones and thinking this and that. And once you've tasted it, and he lived across the dadgum street. And I popped up and I said, I don't know if I popped off, but I said, you cannot expect me to leave him alone as long as I live across the street. Within a week, I was gone to New York. So watch what you say. But anyway, I forget why I brought that up, but you do need to watch what you say and watch what you do. And I was talking about seminary. It's really wonderful. Okay, so when I was in New York, I had to get up really early in the morning. Someone had to take me, I guess. I don't remember how all that worked, but it was not part of the curriculum. And I still went, amazingly enough. It is amazing. Okay, so anyway, they have seminary for 3 years and they have seminary for 4. And I graduated 4 years. It was quite interesting, though. And every Friday we would discuss whatever we wanted to. They let us pick topics and ask questions and all that stuff. Inevitably, it would be about Satan. We were taught how to get rid of him. And I really did fight him off a long time. And it freaked me out, too. They would tell you, the more you think about it, you know, you're inviting them in. Well, that's not cool. You shouldn't tell that to somebody. Because, you know, you don't want to think about it. You just happen to do it, and then you're all freaked out because you did. Nevertheless, I had some horrendous dreams. I can remember, I mean, if I try to anyway, I can remember one of them particularly. So I don't want to go there. And I do need to start taking my blood pressure medicine. And so, I know I'm flitting around. That eye doctor had said, you know, I shouldn't take my blood pressure medicine at night when I'm going to lay down. He says, when you lay down, you're already, he said, your blood pressure automatically lowers, okay? Like when you lay down for sleep. So it got me freaked out, so I quit taking my blood pressure medicine at night, and then I forget to take it during the day. So yeah, between the caffeine and these power drinks, where are they at? I'll show you. Do 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 do. Hey, you're so far away. Okay, these are pretty good. And they don't have any sugar, but they have something. All I know is, they're sugar-free, so there's something that doesn't agree with me. And then there's 200 milligrams of caffeine. Me and caffeine don't get along. Tastes good, though. But I'm wondering, it says low calorie, increases hydration, increases concentration. That would be nice. Improves performance, stimulates metabolism, no sugar crash. I'm just wondering, what are they using to sweeten it? I hope it's not. You guys, we shouldn't have aspartame. And sometimes they'll have that name, just kind of sounds like aspartame, but it's just a little bit different. Pour 1 packet carefully into a 16.9 fluid ounce, which is a half a liter, bottle of water. Shake gently. Packet may be mixed in 20 fluid ounce bottled water for a milder flavor. Also great with tap water. Don't drink tap water, people. My daughter did a great thing. She got one of those Pures. So they attached it to the faucet. I know. But the point is, I took some water and it tasted good. It didn't taste bad at all. So we just flip a little, it was this little thing that you turn and it switches the water over to where the filter is. And so we just only get water for drinking, and for me, it's for anything that's going in your body. If you're cooking noodles in it, I would think that you'd want to use the pure water and not the other. But don't drink out of the faucet. I mean, if you absolutely can help it, I would stay away from it. Just imagine what they're doing. I mean, what all goes down the drains and they're turning it back into water. So filtration is real important. And the caffeine is not good for my head. So anyway, in this packet, there's 6 lemonade, 6 strawberry, and 6 grape. And it does make a nice drink. So far, I just wish me and caffeine got along. You know what I mean? All these people who get a buzz off of caffeine, I wish. Out there on the road, I took NoDoz. I was trying to stay awake. This was a long time ago. But I'm just saying, no. Made me fall asleep. I'm driving down the road. And I'm having the hardest time staying awake, and I've taken NoDoz. So I think maybe it fast-forwarded me and then shut me down. I don't know what it did. I certainly didn't feel a lift of any kind. And I'm talking years ago when I actually traveled across the country. My daughter and myself, when we moved to Texas, we ended up going back and forth. When I had vacation, we went up to Washington once a year for a while, and then that got old because, that's a lot of it's a lot of expense, a lot of time spent on the road, and you just find that you didn't really need to do that that much. But it's hard to let go of some things when you first move, your friends. I need something to pull my hair back with. And I started saying I need chocolate, and I saw some chocolate earlier. I wonder what I did with it. Where did I see it? Jessica's boyfriend. Unless they've moved it, he still had his Christmas stocking up. And there was some candy in the bottom of it. There was some chocolate. But also, there might be popcorn downstairs. And I know I should be going to bed. But I feel like I need something. And I know I need to keep going. I'm going to forget where I was. 40. Do, 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 do. So I was tempted to just not read this part because I already read Angel Moroni's deal. And I'd gotten off of that track anyway and told you about Mormon and Angel Moroni. Before he was an angel, he was the last person to write in the records before he hit them back. He hit them up. When I say back, he went there and got the records out and then added his stuff to it. So he did take them out. He was the last one to write in the Book of Mormon. And then he put them back. I don't know a lot. I almost want to say that he roamed around for 40 years, but I don't know how he could. But by himself, all the Nephites were dead. And I read it on here. I read Mormon. You can just put in the search, put Mormon, M-O-R-M-O-N, read by Lou, L-O-U, on Lou's Touch, and that's L-O-U apostrophe S space T-O-U-C-H. Very important that you put that on there. And I really don't know, but I would just go ahead and get myself on YouTube and then put up in that, there's a little thing, the little search, click on that, and then type in my title. Like the one that says turn on your light so you're not in the dark. So you are not in the dark. You might not have to put read by Lou. Just put on Lou's Touch. And then really, it's a really excellent, in my mind's eye, it's an excellent video. I read that. That's a really great thing. And then I did some talking. And some would say it was good and some would say it wasn't. Because I did rant and rave about marijuana laws and stuff like that. Just wish everybody could just agree on everything. And I know it's, you know, it's legal in a lot of places, but then there's places where it's not. And that's not cool. It's just like trouble waiting to happen. You know, if you are one who wants to partake, and then you're in a place where you can't, that causes anxiety right there. It does. I feel like I want to go get something to eat, and I haven't read very much to you guys. I don't even know if I did. I read something. He's telling you about the light coming back, him going back and forth. Moroni, in one night, he visited 3 different times, okay? And then he went away. I mean, each time he left, he came back. But now the cock crowed, and he's already been there 3 times, and so it's taken up all night. And Joseph's got chores to do. He's got to go out and work. So he's going out to work with his father, and something's wrong. I mean, he's lost all his strength. So anyway, during a little bit of different events, Moroni showed up again. So 4 times. 3 times during the night and 1 time out in the field. And then Joseph was told to go and tell his father, which he did, and his father told him it was of God. So, trip. But yeah, I should. I'll get off of here and go get myself. I need to attend to my head. And I need to attend to a lot of things. But yeah, I have. In my left eye, I've had liquid. And I felt like I couldn't see. But yet, with my glasses on today, I had 20/20 vision. But I just don't feel right. It just doesn't feel right. Am I tough enough? That's what's in my head now. Yeah, I can hear this song playing in my head, but it is saying those words I just said about, am I tough enough? I'm not. I'm really not. I sound tough, but I'm not. And I got to get busy doing these quilts again. And really, I need to go and see Home Depot or Lowe's. And actually, I just need to remind Jessica, because I was telling her about the clamps. But I still need to, figure out how wide that I want my frame to be for my quilt. And, another thing I saw, so I'm trying to figure out how am I going to attach the batting and the backing. And I decided to add more to Kevin's quilt. Because, Jessie said she wanted hers wider. She would like hers wider after using it. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to have to make them wider. I made Shea Bear's wider a little bit, but I think it's too short. So I have to get my pattern better. And really, an easy quilt is just 10-inch squares. Get 10-inch squares and sew them together. But then I need the clamps and the frame, which it would be 4 pieces of PVC pipe and 4 elbows. And then at the very least 4 clamps, 2 for the top, 2 for the bottom. But what I started to say was I saw a video, and I need to look that up, where she used pool noodles. She rolled up the quilt top, and I don't know if she did it all 3 in separate. How she did that, I'll have to go find it. But the point was, she used the noodles to be able to keep it tight and unwrinkled and flopping around and stuff. And so then it would seem like my hands are all over here doing something, but it seems like you would put the noodles together and roll them off together. I don't know if I'm making sense. But you want, you've got a quilt top, and you've got batting, and you've got backing, and you want to put them together and have them not be a mess. Anyway, I just need to get back with the program. Just don't know about my eyes. But we will have faith that things will be good. It's just I know I haven't done my best with my sugar intake. And you can have nerve damage all over the place, not just in your eyes. That's what the doctor said, the one that was the eye doctor. He was saying if it's happening, if it's misfiring, and because he was showing me different things, like he was saying it was misfiring, like the nerves. He says, and if it's doing it there, it's doing it other places in your body. And I do get these weird little, it's like a nerve ending, and it's like a bite. It's almost like something bit you. Take a bit at yours, your meat. But sometimes it's just, it just comes out the tip of your finger. It's just, I don't know how to explain it, but it's not cool. It's not good. And it's not funny either. So don't let things go. Don't be lax about your stuff. I just don't know what the right answer is, because all these medications they give us have side effects. And if you listen, people of different age groups, and especially the older generation, they've got them on medicine. What you call medicine. Stuff that makes you sick. I don't know what my point was about that. But we're just on so many things. Oh, I was going to say, if you listen to those commercials, it tells you, it's got a little jingle, a pleasant little jingle. And then it's telling you what it should do for you. But then right after that, it's listing side effects, things to watch out for. And also sometimes it says death. Well, if you experience death, you can't really tell them about it. Someone else might. And that's not funny. But I'm just saying, you listen to them. They'll go on and on and on, a list a mile long of the different side effects that could happen. And if they do happen, stop immediately. Tell your doctor, da-da-da. Surely you guys have listened. I don't know how to get my point across, but it's on every damn commercial that has to do with drugs. So not cool. And this stuff is not cool either. See, it shows me that I need to go to 43. Oh, I didn't read that. I started to read that. Okay, I did read that. Verse 42 says, again, he told me that when I got those plates of which he had spoken, for the time that they should be obtained was not yet fulfilled. I should not show them to any person, neither the breastplate with the Urim and Thummim, only to those to whom I should be commanded to show them. If I did, I should be destroyed. While he was conversing with me about the plates, the vision was opened to my mind that I could see the plates where the plates were deposited, and that so clearly and distinctly was that I knew the place again when I visited it. So I didn't say that very good. Okay. After this communication, I saw the light in the room begin to gather immediately around the person of him who had been speaking to me, and it continued to do so until the room was again left dark, except just around him, when instantly I saw, as it were, a conduit open right up into heaven, and he ascended till he entirely disappeared, and the room was left as it had been, ouch, before this heavenly light had made its appearance. Okay, well, I lost myself there. Okay, so when instantly I saw it were a conduit open right up into heaven, and he ascended till he entirely disappeared, and the room was left as it had been before the heavenly light had made its appearance. All right, so I'm going to stop, people. I need to put it right there. 44 is where I need to start. I've done good enough for this day. I need to lay my little self down and try to remember where I stopped at. So what was it? Like, it's not where I can bookmark it. Well, I guess, you know what? I bet I can. Because I see something like a bookmark. I just don't know. Anyway, I need to do Joseph Smith history, and I'm going to start with 44. Where'd it go? 43, 44, right there. Okay. So listen, you guys. Take care. have a wonderful day, because by the time you see this, it's going to be another day. It already is another day, excuse me. And I guess I could put my glasses back on for a little bit. So I have the paperwork. I can't say paperwork. What it is I called my eye care doctor in Sterling and requested my records. So what they're doing is sending me a release form so that they have permission to send those records. And then she said she would send a stamp addressed envelope so that I can just take and sign that paper that I get and put it back in the mail immediately. And then when they get that, they will send me the records, and then I can take the records in when I go next time. So I got that done. And then also my I have to call and talk to the right people, but anyway, my insurance is not covering what it used to cover. So what is it I'm trying to say? I talked to them people in the billing office today, and I just wanted to make sure, because she had left a message and she mentioned 20%. And I'm going, okay, I'm supposed to have an Advantage plan that is supposed to be very good. And so I was just asking them, what's the deal, because I wanted to make sure that they were not charging what they shouldn't be. Like if you just have regular Medicare A and B, I think that's what it's called, A and B, anyway. You don't have as good a coverage, is the point. You have to pay 20%. Well, at the first of the year, things change, and so I've been trying to figure out what would be the best thing, and there are things to consider that you can choose from. And yes, the regular open is probably already gone, but I think I'm able to go ahead because of extra help. I got extra help once before, and it changed things a little bit. But the point was, I also mentioned to this woman about the different places I've been, and then I said, it just dawned on me that the first place I went, they told me not to worry about the bill, that I could have a grant and that everything would be taken care of. I didn't have to pay for anything. That's what I remember. And then when I went over to, I think when I went over to where my sister was, that's a whole different hospital, a whole different organization. But I do not think that I had to pay for the hormone therapy. In other words, I was doing the same thing there that I'm doing here, and that is getting those shots in my buttocks. I mean, it's one shot, but it's too much medicine. It takes 2 syringes. So I get a shot in both cheeks every 28 days. And that is to do with degrading the receptors of my hormones, okay? And so I take a little pill every day, and that's supposed to stop me from producing my hormones. But see, the cancer wants the hormones, so that's why. So you have to pick and choose. What do you want more? Do you want to live and be old and wrinkled up? Or do you want to be prettier and not live as long? That's what they're thinking. Myself, I just want to get the cancer way down there to where it's supposed to have been a slow-growing cancer, but that was before it went into my bones, okay? Nevertheless, I'm feeling really good. For the most part, I feel really good. My head's not feeling really good right now. But the cancer, the tumor marker numbers are down to 120 and 132. I mean, they need to go down further than that, but, you know, they really don't know. They really don't know what a normal number is. But my numbers when I started in Kennewick were 1,400. And I didn't know there were two different numbers, so I don't know what that meant, the 1,400, if she added the two numbers together. But that was the first place I went. I was at Dad's. So then over by Nancy, that was in Puyallup. I'm not saying it right. Puyallup. Anyway, I saw a cancer doctor there and had my treatments there. Then I came here, and I've been here a year. So really, I think I've done, let's just see if my numbers keep going down. And I'm thinking, you know, it's been a while since I took some ivermectin. So I think I will. Maybe I'll take some tomorrow. I overdid it when I did take it. I took it 14 days in a row, and you don't do that. I just severely, that's probably not the right word, but I want to get rid of this cancer. And I know that part of I have to be careful of my words, but see, I think part of my success is the fact that I've done that. And I could not get my doctors to give me a prescription for it. So I had to go roundabout to get it. But by God, I believe that we all deserve the right to try and save our lives. We don't have to do everything that the doctors tell you to do. However, sometimes they are pretty smart, I must say. But anyway, I think I started to say once before, these medicines, man, we're on all these medicines, and then they end up giving you trouble elsewhere. However, they did kind of clarify that today, because they were saying that, you know, the doctor was saying that I wasn't getting enough blood flow to my optic nerve. And he was talking about from behind. I mean, from what I could get out of him and glean and watching his hands maneuver and stuff. And we're talking about the glasses doctor. And I forget what I was talking about, basically. I know it has to do with the blood flow. Okay, blood flow. So this doctor today is saying, no, that's not it. And actually her assistant might have been the one saying that. Meaning not draining right, the fluid in the eye not draining right, and then they said it pools, it kind of pools there, and so it causes pressure, not the lack of blood, but it is also like damaged nerves, which could be the blood sugar. They didn't say that. I'm just saying that's a thought that comes to my mind. Anyway, I'm gonna take some, I need to order those, but I do use metformin to try and go to sleep. And I said that wrong. It's not metformin. We don't want to use metformin. I'm talking about melatonin. Melatonin, and I need to order some, that's what I was saying. Now this is an Equate. 10 milligrams per serving gummies. What does that really mean? Serving size, 2 gummies. But what does it mean? Melatonin, 10 mg. I just need some help falling asleep. And I'm tired of taking pills. Because it dawns on me, I gotta go get my pills over there. I do need to get a good night's sleep. I have a hard time going to sleep, as you guys know, and here I am. I don't know what time it is, but it's later than I should be up. So, you guys take care. Don't forget to share. Okay. Good night, people.